What is good? What is going on, everyone, everywhere? We gonna go ahead and get into this video right now, man. I'm gonna teach y'all and show y'all a little something about this celestial healing, okay? In this video, you're gonna see a little bit of the pure healing, the supercharged, spammer, and restorer, whatever you wanna call it, the EOG person. And I'm gonna show you a little bit of hybrid loadout that I developed for myself as well, okay? So let's go ahead in this video without further ado. My gear pretty average, pretty, standard. Don't have anything that I bought from the vendor because I normally save so I get the, renowned up by the elite gear, then get the regular gear at a discounted price. Okay, but I like to use brawling. It's quick, it's easy, and spammable pretty much. And especially the Shuriken Storm, because I use a weapon mastery for it. The Shuriken Storm that I use, it is very good and high damage for AoE. It is the best weapon combo to do for AoE, okay? And for the mods I like to use is Replenishing Adapter, just because the power that you get back from it normally allows you to hit an ability, and the ability that you hit, no matter what one it is going to heal and be more beneficial to yourself and your team members than the restorative one is, that it goes ahead and heals it based off your weapon attacks. And the absorption one that just gives you a shield isn't necessarily needed, okay, especially how the state of the game is right now. So yeah, the head socket, I have Consecrated Ground in here right now, but normally I either have Curse Idol. Ooh, I don't have another one. I guess I'm running low on there because it's supposed to be right there. But yeah, normally have Curse Idol or Pheromone Bloom in there. Okay, just the one that gives you those back. Curse Idol being this supercharge here, 5,000 or 50%er, as we used to know it as. This should be a 25%er or 2,500 supercharge cost. Okay, I have to pretty much run either one of those primarily. Consecrating Ground, I was just doing something for a feat and the alert. Okay, but for the next socket, because I do damage as well, and the hybrid build that we're going to get into later on, I'll use Escalating Might. Okay, and check out my might based DPS video. It should be up before this one because I'm uploading it right now actually. So for the back socket, I like to use Accelerate Blessing just to get our shield back a bit quicker. It's always nice to have. If you don't want to use Accelerate Blessing, then use the one for the Virtuous Light here, okay, to reduce that cooldown because it is pretty hefty at times. For the chest, Power Fish is the best one. It's the healer's best friend, just because, for lack of better terms, you pretty much enable yourself to spam heal, which isn't highly recommended, but it's more effective if you are having trouble healing or just struggling in keeping your team alive. Because even when you are not necessarily spamming heals, like hitting on your powers like crazy, there will become points where you do have to essentially spam to keep your team members alive, okay? Now, for the Lifestyle Restorative, Wrath of the Presence, you can release anything. Benediction is another one that I might pop in here if I'm doing more PvP focused stuff. But Wrath of the Presence, I use it on my DPS side, so I'll just pop it in here, especially when I was trying to do a hybrid build, trying to figure out what different stuff I want to go ahead and put in. For the trinkets, I pretty much like to have a mix of things. I really don't use the stat buff one like I do for my DPS, just because for me personally, how I heal and for the state of the game in which I heal at, even doing elite content, I don't find it a requirement or nor a necessity to have the stat buff trinket. I still have one over here somewhere. No, it's my might one. Oh, no, it's a breakout. Oh, it's probably in my bank right now, but nonetheless, I like to have a tier 3 pet. I like the mother box right now just because it's one of the ones I have, and it got dropped for me, so it's always nice. Plus, if you saw Obsidian Chill's video, when it hits multiple targets with the same beam, it does a lot of more damage. So that's always good. Any supply drop will be fine. Any orbital will be fine. And I have a sidekick just because I was doing some in the alert, but normally I like to run the backup. For this DLC, of course, use the more relevant backup to it. But on average, the ultraviolet lanterns, I think, do some of the most damage currently. Or the trench ones. They're also pretty good. That's how it normally looks for me, okay? Now, for the artifacts, Purple Healing Ray and Page of Destiny are pretty much your bread and butter for most healers. I love them, all right, to say the least. And for Purple Healing Ray, it's especially amazing on electric. But in terms of Celestial, Purple Healing Ray, Eye Gemini, and Page of Destiny, you pretty much can't go wrong there. A lot of people would switch out Eye Gemini and put Transformation card. No, this one. But I don't see the need to or feel to for that much, because I like to be a very like jack of all trades kind of healer, and I don't know, not too my own horn, but I feel like I'm one of the better healers in the game, to say the least. So yeah, and then I'll still switch out for the Philosopher's Stone and the Dead King Scepter whenever I am using my orbital or my orbital or supply drop. So I had it reversed. But yeah. Now on to the allies. Now in terms of allies, you're still gonna want to have for your support one, Luck of the Draw with Batman Who Laughs. It's pretty much gonna be a staple. And because of healing and depending on the situation, especially with trolls, a lot more trolls buff troll than they do just for power. So to keep myself regulated and whatnot, I normally don't run into power issues, but there has been an occasional time in Elite that I ran into power issues. So I like to use Cyborg here as well, just to make sure for the all your base, so I can have that passive power recovery increased. Okay. And then for the combat one, like I said on my DPS one, I'll probably make a video about this here later about which is the best allies to use for damage and etc. But for single target, use the House of Legends bot. For general AoE with a low ally favor / experience required for an ally, just go ahead and go Cyborg. If you have some more ally favor and don't mind spending it, Death Metal Batman does a lot of damage right now, mostly because it is new. So it does some of the highest damage in the game, but it just requires so much ally favor to put into him to get that damage. If not, you can always go with Bombshell Harley here. She's pretty much like the electricity power, where the more ads you have, similar to like Orbital, you want to pop Harley then, because she doesn't necessarily split like that. She pretty much hit all the enemies around the same amount of damage as if it was a lower amount of enemies. So that's always nice to have. But Cyborg is pretty much a lot of people's bread and butter, so I can much keep him in rotation as far as the combat one. But since we're using his support ability, I like to just go ahead with the House of Legends bot more times than not, and I'll switch him out with the Death Metal Batman here and there. I'm trying to get him up just a little bit more so he can be more usable in those ways. If not, Flashpoint Batman will actually be your runner-up in the terms of damage. So, yeah. Alright, on to our skill points and how we spec. I pretty much go into Brawling and get the Mastery. So I go over there to Martial Arts and get it there, and then go from there. For Super Speed, I like to get all the recoveries because I don't like to be stunned, and like to get a little bit power back whenever I do break out and whatnot. Especially being a healer, if you get stunned, the only thing you can pop normally is a shield and maybe your soda. So just be careful with that. I like to get these, especially for my support role. My damage role, I like to get them so I can keep putting out that damage like that. But I like to also get Speed Drain and Metabolic Boost, just in case on the situation at hand. Speed Drain if I'm doing more supercharged spam, so I can give everybody their supercharge with the Eye of Gemini circle. And if I just pretty much need the breakout and some health over time, I use metabolic boost. So just more depending on the content you're in. Dash attack can be okay too, especially if you clip out of it, or make sure you turn away from the boss so you're not just running dead into the boss, because it will launch you forward. But it is in a shield in a sense, so does some pretty nice stuff there. Now, for iconics, there's pretty much nothing you have to get out of here. I recommend that you get Pheromone Bloom though. Sometimes I take Word of Power if I'm trying to be, once again, the jack of all trades, because with how I play my healers, I can heal, do some damage, can tank, and you can ask people in game, I can tank for the most part as a healer. Especially Celestial and Electric are easier to do. But as a healer in healer role, I can tank. So, and then Word of Power allows me to give power back to my group members as well. So that's a troll, especially with the Heartthrob trinket that you have as well, which debuffs, and you're pretty much set right there. And then I just like this just because the more weapon damage. It's very slight and minuscule, not even noticeable, but it is there nonetheless. Now, I go super powered instead of hybrid here just because the passive power regeneration is major, and I like the 10% additional power. Now, I get the dominance, restoration, fight, stuff like that. Those are helpful, but this requires you to basically always hit your weapon attacks to get power back, as opposed to you get power back with your weapon attacks due to vitalization. But for the most part, your power just comes back just naturally. And so I do have a lot of skill points, so bear with me. If you don't have this much, just make sure you get your healing crits and magnitude first, and spec everything you have into restoration. For the most part, I would recommend that you at least spend one on each of the things surrounding your restoration here, all these other stats, just because the one gives you like a good hefty bit for the initial, and then it kind of drops off, it gives you a little by little after that. So the extra 45 Vite, extra 80 dominance and stuff like that, 400 health, all this stuff are very just good things to have. But after you spec, all around for one at least, and then spec everything into restoration, if you have any more skill points, I like to do a bit additional damage. So I like to get my crits for the attack, just because my Consume Soul here does damage, and Admonish does damage as well. So I like to do both of those. Oops. And this will help with that, as well as my weapon attacks. Okay, so it's pretty much covering both bases. And if you don't care about damage, or if you want to do damage and make sure you're still good on your healing side, just go ahead and put the rest, just dump everything else into Might and Power, just so you can get more power under your belt, so you can hit more abilities, etc., etc. Okay, but if you have excess, Might and Power, cool. Get your crits, your damage, and some precision for your weapon attacks, and then just keep dumping everything to Might and Power. Okay, now in terms for our loadout, our pure healing loadout is going to look like this. We're going to have a Renew, our priority healer, our group heroes Admonish, which we're going to do the full combo to that. Renew, we're not going to do the combo for. Consume Soul, which is going to be our bread and butter, honestly. It's a nice heal over time. Apologies, y'all. Our priority heal is just a burst. One burst priority heal, done. Admonish is a burst, and then once you do the combo, it goes into a heal over time. Consume Soul is just a heal over time. It's a very short heal over time though, so you gotta hit it quite frequently. Virtuous Light, not lice. But Virtuous Light is a big burst heal that pretty much fills everyone up to full, and then has healing over time after it. Okay. Our shield is our shield. It hits us and 3 other people in our group. And then our supercharge. I use Pheromone Bloom for the most part, just because of nice damage, and it heals me. And if any enemies are around me, it kind of, knocks them back and stuns them like it says. But it's a cheap supercharge I can constantly keep putting out the Eye of Gemini with. So it's nice in that regard. so I can still be pretty much a pure healer since I have the virtual sight still in, and then have a little bit of that Eye of Gemini spam in me. Okay, but for the most part, for your rotation, you're pretty much going to use Consume Soul and clip it with your priority heal. Doing this would pretty much be effortlessly, and you'll see it quite often, because I admonish more times than not takes too long for a lot of the stuff that happens nowadays. So Consume Soul, priority heal, spam another priority heal, priority heal, and even hit an admonish and then priority heal. That works too. You can use it in a sense like how you do electric, but whenever you do get the chance, go ahead hit the full combo of admonish for a nice heal over time. Okay, and whenever your group is in dire need, in dire trouble, whatever the case may be, hit that virtuous light. If you know a big attack that can possibly wipe the group, and especially if the whole group's blocking, I would recommend that you hit virtuous light and pop you a shield and just sit there and block with the rest of the group. Okay, and then your shield, most people like to just spam their shield and always have it. I will only spam it if you have another healer with you. A lot of times I solo heal, so I like to be more cautious with my shield and just like to play the mechanics by ear. Whenever a red skull pops up, pop a shield, block is the general foot of thumb. Okay, and another one, if you want to actually do a little bit more healing, instead of using a supercharge, you can always go into Guardian's Light. Now it is a channel power, and it works similar to how Nature's was it Bloom or the Sorcery's one. Pretty much all the powers have like a version of it. Well, used to have a version of it. Electricity's kind of got taken away, but nonetheless, you can use that if you want to be strictly pure healer and no supercharges, none of that. And you can put the transformation card on, or I like to use the strategist card more for it, just because it allows you to do multiple ticks with everyone. You can have everyone have a good, nice heal over time going, or you can have a well, at the same time, technically, you can have a damage over time dot ticking on enemies that you're fighting as well. So it's always, you know, useful in that way. And if you ever want to do a nice chunk of damage as well as heal yourself and allies over time, I always put in Cursed Idol. It's one of my favorite supercharges in the game, especially how it works is just incredible. Okay, so, and if you need, you know, of course, you need to make sure that your team's pretty much not going to die. Use Concentrated Ground. Just be mindful, because if you are locked on a target like this, if you're looking at a target and you hit Concentrated Ground, the Concentrated Ground will go over there as if it was shielding the tank, similar to the Circle of Protection does for Sorcery. If you wanted to hit over near you or exactly where you are, just to go like this, look away from the enemies, and or just look down and then pop it there. Okay, but look, that's all I got for pretty much this. Let me go ahead and show you some alternatives in terms of the supercharged spamming. Now, of course, we're gonna go use our Pheromone Bloom. How they put in speed drain, just put a little more damage out there. If I know I'm having trouble in terms of not damage but staying alive, I use Metabolic Boost for the extra health and healing over time that it gives, and control effects, so I'm not stunned and I can actually heal myself. Okay, but the only other change that we make is just take out the Virtuous Light, because it can be a little bit of overkill. And if you time everything, especially using the Consume Soul priority heal clip right there, I know we used to do Admonish and Consume Soul, but sometimes that's a little too slow for nowadays damage. So you do this clip and you just have your Eye Gemini spamming, you'll be pretty much set. Okay, now in terms of your artifacts for the Eye Gemini spam, everything else is going to stay the same. The only thing that's going to change your artifacts. I would recommend, depending on how what you hit more with. And when I say hit more with, I would say your actual powers. Like if you're doing the Consume Soul and the priority heal spam, and that's pretty much all you're using, then I would say keep purple healing right in, because it will give people in your group, especially in a lower group like your alerts and stuff like that, that shield that absorbs more damage for them. Okay, so they don't have as big of a hit. But if you're actually using your admonish quite a bit, just go ahead and keep the Page of Destiny in, just because it is so good and basically took electricity's power away from them in a sense. But all you do is just switch it out with the scrap of the soul cloak, and you're pretty much good to go there. Now some people, you can use Quizlet as well. You just won't get as much back, and you just definitely need to make sure that your head mod matches one of your supercharges here, okay, to have that be sufficient enough to go back and forth with and sustaining throughout the content that you're playing. Okay, now in terms of a hybrid, I have this one right here. I know y'all see the outfit. Peep the outfit, peep the fit, peep the fit. But it's pretty much the exact same as the supercharged spammer, because once again, this is pretty much everything all in one. I can tank with it, I can supercharge spam with it, and I can sustain the supercharges as well. Even though I have a 50 or 5,000 supercharged curse idol and my pheromone bloom in there as well at the same time, and I go back and forth and able to sustain it. Okay, now in terms of the spec, is going to be the only thing different. Everything else pretty much looks the exact same as you see. And well, I got that to test it out, and I got that to test it out too, which you can use, especially if you don't have a lot of enemies that are dying. Okay, if they're just, you know, too tanky in terms of their health, then definitely go ahead and replace Curse Idol with Neo Venom Boost, okay? But definitely keep Pheromone Bloom. It just does a lot of damage. It's insane. But our stats, back to super powered, and we're gonna gladly take that, might, you know, actually count that towards something now. Get all your crits here, okay? And then pretty much what you want to do is get the ones, like I said before, and then evenly distribute your rest of the skill points, your remaining skill points, whatever you want to call them, into these three here: your restoration, your precision, and your might and power. You want to just pretty much evenly distribute them in those. But granted, this is going to take a lot of skill points. I have 618. A good chunk of people have over 600, so you'll be good there. But there's also a very large chunk of players that don't. So be cautious how you do it. If you're not able to keep your team up and alive, definitely don't go as evenly ratioed as I have. Focus on trying to get to at least 100 in your restoration first, and then get a little bit into mind power, and then go to precision. That's how I rank them, just to make sure you cover your bases of you being a healer first and foremost. And then this is kind of doing damage, but also covering your base as a healer, just because you're having to have that extra power to, you know, utilize your abilities. And then this is just pure damage. So without further ado, y'all, that's pretty much all I have for this video. Go ahead, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff to support this channel, okay? Share the video out to everyone you know, everyone you don't know, okay? I got a lot more giveaways, like I said before, and stuff coming on to this channel. Got some more content definitely to post on here. Gonna have a lot of stuff coming in the future, so bear with me. Subscribe, turn on the notification bell, all that good stuff, okay? And I'll just catch you on the next one, okay? Peace and shalom.